Hello there! What prompted me to make this video is the fact that the last couple of times I've voted, I haven't had a clue what I've been doing. At all. I think the first time I voted, I did a donkey vote. The second time I voted for the Greens because they were about the environment and I was young. And then I think maybe the third time, my parents were going, oh, well, you should probably vote this because this is what's happening so I took their advice rather than learning for myself. And every time I've gone along, I haven't known how my votes are being tallied and why I should vote a certain way or who's promising what, so why I should vote for them. So I thought this year, I might actually do some research and get my together so that not only I, but you can also benefit and know how you're voting and why you're voting the way you're voting. So if you're 18 years or over and have enrolled to vote, you will have to vote on the 17th of March. It is Saturday. Very soon, maybe even today, because I'm really bad at organising when to get my videos done. Since 1942, it's actually been compulsory for you to vote if you're over 18 years. If you don't, you will get a first letter. If you don't reply to that, say giving a valid reason as to why you didn't vote, you will get a second letter with a $70 fine, and if you don't reply to that, you will then get a $124 fine. After that, it pretty much just goes on and is handled by the courts. Hopefully you're not in that situation. But if you are under the age of 18 but still would like to enroll, so you don't have to worry about doing that down the track, if you are 16 or 17 years old, you can actually enroll now. Like right now. I'll leave a link in the description of this video so you can do that. So it's important to know what you're actually voting for because there are two slips. One is green, one is white. The green one being for the House of Assembly or lower house, and the white one being for the Legislative Council or the upper house. The lower house is made up of 47 members representing different electorates plus a speaker. And whoever's the party leader of the party with the power in the lower house will become the Premier. When they're voted in, they are voted in for 4-year terms. And in that 4-year term, they pretty much just start a bunch of legislation. That can be anything like rules and regulations, bills, policies, acts, notices, that kind of stuff. They get it started. And the system of voting for these guys is the preferential system. We'll go through that in a sec. In the upper house or Legislative Council, there are 22 members who are up for election. Their terms are 8 years. Except every other half year, only 11 of the members are up for re-election. So 11 this year, and then in 4 years' time, the other 11 spots will be up for grabs, basically. The Legislative Council basically acts as a review guide for the legislation that's pushed through the lower house. So you can imagine if you have power in the lower house and power in the upper house, it's easy for you to make legislation, get it through one house, and then have it signed off in the other house and become part of law. The Legislative Council or the upper house also use a different system of voting to the lower house or House of Assembly. They use the proportional representation system of voting. Okay, I hope that makes sense so far. You got it? Process it? Good, got it, right. Now let's move on to these systems of voting. So for the lower house or the House of Assembly, these guys are using the preferential system of voting. They basically just need to hit 50% of votes. So you can imagine that's pretty easy to tally up and find out if someone's over 50%. If no party or person has over 50% of the votes by the time the first round has gone around, the candidate with the lowest amount of votes, all of their votes will be taken back, and whoever they've written as their second preference will then be redistributed amongst the remaining candidates. If there's still no one over 50% by that point, it's eliminate the last person, redistribute the votes until someone is over 50% and that person gets to win the seat. And that's why it's really important that you think not only about your first preference, but your second preference as well. Because even though your candidate might not have a majority of the votes, your second vote may be important to getting someone else in power. To vote in the preferential system, it is the green paper. You just need to put number 1 in the candidate that you best think represents your views, and then continue numbering all of the boxes until you get to however many number of boxes there are. Now I'm going to try and explain the other type of voting, because that's what you're going to need for your white piece of paper in the Legislative Council, the upper house. It's called proportional representation voting. Firstly, there's a quota, which is made using this equation that's in front of me right now. You can figure it out if you want, or you can just leave it up to the Electoral Commission of South Australia. That's what I'm gonna do. Once all the ballots are counted, anyone who meets the quota is in. They're elected. If there's any surplus on top of that quota, not just these top bits, but the whole lot of ballots for that one candidate that is elected, all of the second preferences are taken and transferred to the other candidates who may not be in yet, and they are transferred at a lesser rate. If those votes transferred at a lesser level get any other candidate over the quota, they are now also elected. And the same thing happens with their surplus votes. If they make it way over the quota, those ballot papers go on back and being redistributed again at a lesser number than a single vote. Once that's been completed, if there's still not enough people to fill all of the positions, it then is similar to the other system. We take the lowest candidate out, redistribute their votes for the second preference, but at full value rather than a lesser transferred rate. And then that elimination transfer always continues until we have our elected people. To vote in the Legislative Council or the upper house using this system of voting, you will have a white piece of paper which will have a line with some parties up the top and some people down the bottom. Now you have a choice here to vote above the line or below the line. If you're going to be voting above the line, you need to put a number 1 in one of the boxes above the line that is the party that best represents your values. Then it's up to you. You can keep numbering 2, 3, 4, 5, as many as there are, or you can just leave it as the one vote. If you're voting below the line, however, you're gonna have to put a number 1 in the box of the person that best represents your values, then a 2, 3, 4, all the way through to at least 12. At minimum 12. You can keep going if you want, you can number them all, but at least 12 of them must have numbers. And that's all I can really tell you at this point. I hope it's at least helped a little bit understand where your first, second preferences might be helping out others that you might have not intended to in the past. I know that certainly happened with me. And I hope it maybe gives you the power to actually vote in the way that you actually want to. If you want to know anything more, it is actually all on the website, ecsa.com.au. If you want to enroll to vote, that is aec.com.au. Read through them. You've still got a little bit of time, depending on when this video comes out, but make an informed decision, make your vote count. Because I think now more than ever, it's actually a really good thing to vote and have your voice heard, have your opinion heard. And if you don't like any of the candidates, I mean, you can actually just run yourself. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope it helps you vote. Go forth and vote, and let's see what happens. Who knows? I think this is a really important one. We have a third party who could potentially get the balance of power. Either way, your vote's gonna count for like 4 years, so make it count.